Class of 2004, old rats on a new ship, or something like that. The point is, we could be looking at a period of potentially violent power struggle. Potential? They almost killed us. Jason, a woman's talking here.
So what do you think is going to happen with this infusion of new blood?
At the beginning of season 5, we meet characters Phil Leotardo, Angelo Grappi, Tony Blundetto, and Feech Lamanna, though Feech doesn't play too much of a role in this video. So, potentially violent power struggle, huh? That guy on the news had no idea how much his words were about to come true. I'm just kidding. He did have an idea, because that's Matthew Weiner, one of the writers and producers of The Sopranos. He wrote 12 episodes, including, in season 5, Rat Pack, Sentimental Education, Unidentified Black Males, and The Test Dream. Another person that we meet in season 5 is Rusty Melio, and he's definitely on little Carmine's side in terms of who should be the next boss of the Lupertazzi family following Carmine Sr.'s death. He is not a fan of Johnny Sack or Phil Leotardo. What now? Well, Johnny Sack doesn't seem to waste any time making it known that he thinks he should be the next guy in charge, starting with the Opus Dei metal power move. And when little Carmine realizes this, he doesn't mince words.
They don't mean anything anymore. You understand what I'm saying?
It's like that game we used to play as kids. Crack the whip. You run around like an idiot holding hands as tight as you can, and then the line snaps. Somebody lets go, and you're next.
I was being polite. It was his deathbed. Speaking of death, well, as we know, this could get ugly. Sometimes you get a warning, like in Lorraine Caluso's case.
Next time. There'll be no next time.
No, John, it's not the UN. And there will also be no next time for Lorraine because she apparently didn't take Phil's warning too seriously. Lorraine crawling on the floor also reminds me of Adriana doing the same thing when Syl takes her into the woods. It's interesting how Johnny Sack says, whack this one, whack that one, never high enough body count for Lorraine.
Let her taste her own medicine.
And then he goes wild. But not just season 5. In season 4, remember Johnny Sack wanted to whack Ralph? And then at the end of the season, he wanted to take Carmine out? Seems like Johnny Sack wanted a high body count too. So now Lorraine's dead, and of course, little Carmine, Angelo, and Rusty are not happy about that. And in the meantime, while they're deciding what to do, we have Tony B deciding that civilian life isn't for him.
Henry Paul, big entrepreneur.
So he's going to go back to doing other work. He may be Tony Soprano's cousin, but he was still a free agent in the eyes of others when it came to taking on jobs, like killing Joey Peeps, for example. Regarding Tony B killing Joey Peeps, it's kind of sad how earlier on in that very episode, Tony B meets Joey, and they seem to actually like each other. I guess they bonded over their mutual annoyance with Phil Leotardo at that moment for complaining that the seat was askew. Why did Tony B take this job when earlier in the episode he'd turned it down? I think we can thank Carmela and Tony for that somewhat. To be clear, it's Tony B who makes the decision to do it. But I do think that he was triggered by what he saw as disrespect at Hugh's 75th birthday party.
Tony, can you bring the camera over here and get a shot of this?
And perhaps some envy and jealousy. Mysteries abound. While Johnny Sack does believe that Tony Soprano wasn't the mastermind behind the killing of Joey Peeps, the fact of the matter is, Tony B is in the DeMeo family. That's why a lot of things didn't happen that seemed like they happened. Tony B never whacked Joey Peeps. The Vespas never got into Johnny Sack's hands.
You want to yell at somebody, the man you should be talking to is right over there.
Unfortunately, the bloodshed doesn't end here. Rather, it gets worse. Enter Season 5, Episode 11, The Test Dream.
Let me get some twine.
Forget it, I'm not going that far.
Angelo tells the store employee, forget it, I'm not going very far. He sure was right about that, as Phil and Billy Leotardo force him to pull over and kill him on his way home from the store. You know how Tony B and Angelo were best buddies in the can?
Mambo! Oh, Carlos was teaching you the mambo!
How's Tony B gonna feel about this whacking of Angelo? Well, we get our answer soon enough.
You have any idea what you just did?
Phil's brother Billy, whatever happened there. It's a bit ironic how Tony B disciplines both of his sons for something that only one boy did, which was take the Olympic pins from the back of AJ's closet. When the other twin yells, "I didn't do nothing," Tony B says, "You're just as bad as he is because you didn't stop him." And it makes me think of the test stream when the man asks Tony Soprano, "Why didn't you stop him?" Him being Tony B.
All due respect, Carmine. That's why you need to get out there.
Meanwhile, after all the retaliations, counterattacks, and other events in this stagmire, Rusty Emilio is still encouraging Carmine to get out there and take the reins, but little Carmine's just not bloodthirsty or power hungry enough to keep this going. But something still needs to be done about Tony B. Tony Soprano, you're up. Rather than giving up Tony B's location to the Lupertazzi family, Tony S. takes matters into his own hands and kills Tony B himself, in what was likely a much quicker process than what Tony B would have been subject to if it was Phil or another Lupertazzi family member who found him alive.
Hey, this way you're not such a big target for the feds.
You want a coffee?
And now the coffee maker sucks. So what's our body count? While they certainly weren't the only ones killed in season 5, we have Adriana too, among others. These guys and gal were killed directly as a result of the power struggle after the death of Carmine Sr. So who's to blame here? Even before the start of season 5, Johnny Sack wanted to have Carmine Sr. clipped, which got called off last minute. I think that Johnny was out for blood probably ever since the Ralph thing fell through at the last minute. And now he finds out that the son, quote unquote, with the discos. So it's like Johnny decides to unleash all his pent up fury and resentment toward little Carmine. And he knew how close that Lorraine Caluso and little Carmine were. So Lorraine continuing to kick up to Carmine, little Carmine, felt particularly personal. It wasn't just about the money. I think it was about seeing Johnny as a legitimate head of the family, rather than, paying your new respects to the guy running the wet t-shirt contests, as they call him. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you think about all this season 5 bloodshed? Were you a fan of season 5 in general? I'd love to hear from you.